Do you have a plan? Do you have a good understanding of why you feel drawn towards things? Why you feel called to do some things but not others? I don't. But here's why I don't think that's a problem. So you might have heard me say in other videos that I'm a little bit unambitious, that I don't really plan things out. I'm not a big goal setter. I just don't take the most structured approach to getting from point A to B. But something that I actually do is wholeheartedly pursue whims. Sometimes obsessively, sometimes consistently, but I do like to just follow a notion. And that's kind of what this whole video and road trip is about. As you can see, I have a tiny offsider with me. I really ummed and ahed about whether I wanted to go on this trip because it's just kind of difficult doing stuff with a little person in tow. Take, for example, the secondhand bookshop in Uralla, where Goldie screamed the entire time that we were in there, except for this couple of seconds here. Luckily, we were the only people in there, and so I didn't worry too much. We ended up getting a cute bird book for my mum and this little Brahmini kite collectible, and then we were on the road again. So the whole thing about this little road trip is that every now and then I just feel called west of the ranges. This is the country where my dad grew up, and for some reason I feel called home every now and then. I mean, look at those skies. Let me just sidebar here to say that we stayed at Gunniganu Station and it was so beautiful. Look at this little room. My very specific obsession in life is bedrooms with windows on at least two sides, and I just want to live here in this little room. But anyway, back to talking about whims and notions and proceeding without any real semblance of a plan. This doesn't just apply to holidays and road trips in my life. It applies to pretty much everything that I do. Now, I do want to acknowledge that there is a little bit of privilege at work here that I am able to pursue some of these whims and passions. But I did in the past run a pretty conventional route of graduating from high school, going to university, studying, pursuing a career in the field in which I was qualified. It just didn't really work out. So once all that was established, I kind of started just doing the things that I loved and doing them all the time. I was drawing obsessively while I was working as a journalist and living in Melbourne. I was dreaming of home. I was terribly homesick. And I think without knowing it, I was pouring all my love and intention into things that would eventually become the path that I would take. So all of my effort was going to my drawing pursuits, and all of my dreams and love was leading me back home to where I live now. And so with no real intentional plan, I kind of made my way home, both professionally and geographically. Now, I'm not sure if I would recommend this approach, and I don't know if it'll always serve me as well as it has so far. But I do just find it interesting how we're all drawn towards certain things, and they are all different for each of us. And these are the things that ultimately make us unique, make us weird, make us special. What a fascinating part of our humanity. I think it's something that we should really honour and pursue and preserve. Falling in love with a notion, chasing a whim, just getting after whatever it is that lights you up. So back to our road trip. Goldie and I woke up in this beautiful place. The weather was amazing. The kind of autumns we don't have down here in the subtropical coast. The other thing that this road trip adventure got me thinking about was the way that we pursue the sparkles that light us up, the glimmer that captures our imagination. The way we chase those things is integral to our creative practice, right? Because it's the act of celebrating the world, of reverence for what we see around us, the very, very special skill of finding something, seeing its beauty, recognizing its unique specialness and sharing that with the world. I think that's the key job of us as artists, is to see the world the way we do and to show others how to see it too, how to see the magic and the beauty and just the amazing, overwhelming greatness of everything around us. To be able to celebrate that, share it, show it to other people, allow them to celebrate it too. I really can't think of a higher purpose for our creative practice than to show other people how we love the world and all the magic that is within it. So I think that is exactly what I was experiencing on this road trip. It was reverence for beauty, the celebration of awesomeness, the pursuit of trying to catch some of that magic and share it with the world later on. And of course, what better way to do that than through horses? You guys must know by now that I am an absolutely tragic horse girl. The Australian Cutting Futurity is held at Tamworth every year, and I love going along to this event because they are, in my opinion, the fanciest horses on the Australian performance horse stage. So cutting is a bit more of an American sport. We do have specifically Australian cow horse sports when you talk about camp drafting or something like that, but cutting, yeah, it's got a lot of the American traditions. So you see all the fancy chaps and outfits and of course the most beautiful and talented quarter horses in the country. So I try and get out to this one every year if I can. Goldie May doesn't love it, doesn't love sitting in the stand for extended periods of time. I could sit there all day and watch this stuff. But we did manage to catch a bit of it and I'm so glad we went. Like I said at the start of the video, I sort of wasn't certain about whether it was a good idea to go on this trip at all, but I am really glad that I did because it really cemented for me the idea of how the things we love shape what we do. And sorry for the jump scare here with the scary movie footage, but there were huge kangaroos and hare on the road on the drive home, and I love hare. We don't have them, we have rabbits at home sometimes. But yeah, I was pretty stoked about that. I was also trying to get a bit of drawing in this trip, but obviously the general manager has other ideas. Of course, not to be dissuaded, I'm going to try again in the morning and I'm going to fail again in the morning. Luckily, I did manage to do a little bit of drawing late in the night while Goldie was asleep. So there's no drawing processes for these ones because the light was atrocious. But here's some little scribbles that were done on the road. And I guess as an acknowledgement for all the mothers and creatives out there, yes, it's hard. All we can do is keep trying and failing and trying and failing. Now, onto the beautiful gardens of Gunny This place is just incredible. Kind of felt like I shouldn't be there with my unruly toddler. But we went for a little cruise around the gardens anyway and checked out all the beautiful flowers and countryside. I do wish I could have stayed longer, had bigger drawing sessions, really gotten into it, but something is better than nothing, that's for sure. Obligatory stop on the way home is always Thunderbolts Rocks in Uralla. I also did something I've never done before, I guess in keeping with this video's theme of following a whim. I went down to the fossicking grounds in Uralla. Every time I drive out to Tamworth, I drive past the sign for it and wonder what it is because I love looking for rocks and just kind of being a little bit of a geology nerd in general. So I finally went down and had a look. It was kind of underwhelming, kind of strange and a little bit eerie. I don't know if I liked the feel of this place. I did like these fluffy grasses, which are beautiful. Their beautiful colour against that blue sky is just something else. The sand had maybe mica or something in it. It looked like gold dust. I couldn't capture it on the camera, but this was a pretty cool little sidetrack. I'm glad that we went down there. Not sure that I'll ever go back, but at least now I know. Have you ever been to a fossicking ground? Does anyone know what I'm supposed to do there? I think it's pan for gold, but I'm not doing that. Anyway, here we are back in the studio, surrounded by all my things, relieved of my child for a couple of hours, so can get some scribbling done. I feel like this trip really gave me a few things to think about. I don't know if I can give you a concrete recommendation for or against the idea of following whims and not really having a very good plan. But I guess whenever you get the chance to, you should probably take that sidetrack just to see what's down there, just so you're not left wondering. It could be gold dust. It could just be a creepy campground, but you should go have a look.